set statement. Okay, so this is the same example that we saw from the deck. I'm going to read sashelp.class. Whatever is in my set statement is the input data set. I'm going to read sashelp.class. I'm creating an output data set called class, which is also work.class. So just so you know, you can also write it as work dot if you want. Okay, so this is something that people, I've seen people use this work dot. There's something called macro variables. We'll probably talk about that in the next session. Um, so you can use a macro variable and you can say work dot, or you can if you use a macro variable, you can update that macro variable in one place, and any reference to the macro variables would update that information in the rest of it. So when I'm testing, I might want to save some of these data sets. So I might point it to a permanent location. When I'm not testing, I might want to just put it in work. So um, you can, so this is all to say you can use work dot if you want to qualify your library name as a two-level library name. Okay, so if I say work dot class, class has 19 records and 5 variables. So the work dot class, I'm going to add one more to it, one more column to it, or one more variable. That's the BMI. And now you can see how it's calculated the BMI here for um, based on the height and weight information for each of the columns. And remember, it's picking the first record and it's calculating the BMI. It sees the run, it puts that information in the output data set. It goes back up to the top. Everything um, is still, it's going to hold the value. Then it sees the set statement, it reads that information in, and then it's going to calculate it again. So see the same compile execution thing that we talked about. Now, I don't want to, um, I don't like the way this is presenting here. The so many dots after the uh, integer value, the, the value. So I want to format it. So we talked about format in the procs. I don't know if all of you had a chance to see the 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 format that we did in some of the procs like proc print and stuff. But there's a statement in SAS called format. It's followed by the name of the variable and what format do you want to apply to that. Okay. So in this case, I'm saying 6.2, 6 being the total length, and then 2 decimal points after the dot. So this 6 includes decimal point, the the decimal points after the dot, and also the number. So that's what that is. So if I run it like this, now you're gonna see a slightly better version of what we saw before. Sorry, this is the wait. Let me go back here. So now in the BMI, you're seeing it's presented a little bit better. Okay, it's formatting for your data. Um, and format is not altering the underlying data itself. It's just showing you how to present the data when you look at it. Okay, but the underlying data itself will not be affected by that. Okay, so I'm gonna go back and create our favorite HMEQ data set from the URL using the file name for the file ref, and then um, I'm gonna read it into the HMEQ data set for work. Okay. Okay. So HMEQ data set is read. There are no errors in the log. So if you notice, if there's an error, you will see the number of errors. It tells you the number of notes here, the number of, it gives you in parentheses, you know, how many of them are there. So if there is an error, you would see that right at the summary as well. So that's good. Um, we talked about ProcFreak to, um, you know, how to create cross tabulations of your table, how to create frequency tables. If you have not seen that, please go check it out. Um, I shared a link with you guys. So I just did this so that I can see the um, total number of records and the missing records. So I wanted to see uh, where. So the reason I'm running this is to show you that there's a data set option called where, and you say where equal to and provide your conditions inside a bracket. So there is an option called is missing, which tells you if the data is missing, show me only use the data where that mort due is missing. Okay, so it's not really relevant to what we are talking about. I used that to identify the data that I wanted to create for the demo, but I thought this itself is missing is worth showing to you guys. That's why I kept it. Okay, so let's move on to the next step. So now I've created HMEQ, right? It has data for 50 states. It's got data for 150 states plus DC. Okay, so I'm gonna do this. Let's say I want to keep a total. I want to calculate the total mortgage due in my data step. And there are reasons why you might want to do it in data step as opposed to say proc means or something. Okay, so I'm gonna only calculate it for the state of Wisconsin, and so I've said set HMEQ. This is my input data set because it's after my set statement, and I'm applying some data set options on it after that. Okay, so here I'm saying where equal to open bracket, this bracket closes here, and now I'm using this function, what is called as a function in SAS, which is similar to function in other languages. I'm using the uppercase function on state. So whatever is the value of state, take the uppercase equivalent of that, convert that into uppercase, and then compare it against this string called Wisconsin. So basically I'm getting only the values which are where the state is Wisconsin. That's what it is, and it doesn't matter what the state, it's uppercase, lowercase, camel case, because I'm now casting it as uppercase and comparing it with the uppercase value of Wisconsin. Okay, then I'm going to try and say create a variable called total mod due, and the total mod due plus mod due. So I'm trying to creating a running sum on that. Okay, if I run this,
Uh,
let go ahead please.
Hi Vijay, like in the proc frequency video, you have not kept a equal to sign after the where, but here you kept
Okay,
equal
so
to
this is
sign.
another way to do the same. Yeah, good question. Fantastic. Okay, I like that. Okay, let me go back here. Okay, I can do it the same way, like so. This. Remember, I told you there's multiple ways to do the same thing in SAS. So this is what you're talking about, and I like that you followed it and asked me the question. So this is what I did here. I think, right? I had the I had the where statement, if I
Yeah,
remember right. Right? This is how it was in the um, proc freak. And
yeah,
suppose those are where statements. Here I'm saying this is you can apply it both ways. It works the exact same way. So um the where is here it's applied to the data set as a data set option. Here this is applied as a preprocessor to the proc freak as a statement, but they are both preprocessors. So remember, and I said, I think in the first class when we talked about it, I said there's a difference between where and if. Where is a
yeah.
preprocessor, meaning it will not bring the information into the PDV itself. It's discarded even before then. So both of these situations, it will work the same way. That's a good
Okay,
question. Yeah. Thank you.
yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to try and create this. Let's see what happens, and I'll explain to you the reason why it happened as well. Okay, first thing you notice, there's no value for the total. I'm trying to create a running sum. There's no values. Um, so then there's a note here saying missing values were generated as a result of performing an operation on missing values. Okay, so let's go back to the code and let's take a look at uh, okay, the code is right here. We don't have to go anywhere. So when I first created this total mod due, it's not initialized to anything, right? It says simply total mod due plus mod due. So I'm using this without referencing it, it's going to be a missing value in the PDV. When I try to do plus another value, it's going to come up and say, okay, missing value, I don't know what that is. You're trying to add something to it. I'm just simply going to put a missing value to it. So that's why all these all these records in my output data are missing. Okay, so